Hello, everyone. Oh, that's better. I'm after Tom Hall, so I will probably not say anything smarter than him, but I will try. Who am I? I am the programmer of the first Anomaly game, the programmer of the second Anomaly game, the programmer of Funky Smugglers, which you probably don't know, and I still recommend finding it. I don't know whether it's available at the store, but at YouTube you can see the game. It's pretty cool. I was one of the programmers of this war of mine and one of the project leads of Frostpunk, senior technology lead on Frostpunk 2, and right now I'm technical director of the Frostpunk remake. And today I would like to take you for a journey from this, which is the first Frostpunk, to this, which is Frostpunk 2. And what a journey it was. So the first Frostpunk came out in 2018. It was made on Liquid Engine, our in-house tech. It was made by around 40 people, and it took us roughly 3 years to develop, while Frostpunk 2 was released in 2024, was on Unreal Engine 5.2, with a team of roughly 80 people, so twice as many people, and it took 5 years, 5 very long years. And the only thing that remained constant is, of course, the change is constant because we've changed a lot between the games. Starting from the engine, the main focus of this talk. Our technology, Liquid Engine, was a great engine that supported Anomaly series, Funky Smugglers, Sleepwalker's Journey, Anomaly 2, Anomaly Defenders, This War of Mine, and the first Frostpunk game. So quite a few games came out on the same engine, constantly developed for, 10 years or something. And it was an internal technology. We used mainly our own code. It was very multi-platform. At some point, we were afraid to open the fridge not to find a game on Liquid Engine because we've ported the engine to BlackBerry, NVIDIA Shield, all the phones, all the PCs, all the consoles, everything. It was kind of multiplayer-ish. We did a multiplayer module in Anomaly 2. It was fun to play, but nobody played it. So the engine had some multiplayer elements, but so-so. It was entity component system based. This is an architecture that we still use. It was great. And it was very hard to use daily. Why, you may ask? Because it looked like this. And this is the refreshed user interface, mind you. So the old user interface it was even worse. It looked like a Windows 95 application. So we started Frostpunk 2 in late 2019. Fresh team, fresh people, a lot of courage to do so, good engine. So we started. Let's go. We started prototyping, iterating, developing, and implementing, and crashing. A lot of crashing. The engine was unstable because we had one engine for all our projects, and other projects than Frostpunk 2 was, for example, Project 8, which closed last year, and this was, I don't know if I can say it, but probably yes. This was a third-person perspective game, so a lot of features made in Liquid Engine were for this kind of game, and we didn't really need them in Frostpunk 2, but they still crashed in Frostpunk 2. They crashed in Project 8 also. There was a fresh UI refactor in the engine, so the new UI. We've had 5 engine programmers, and a lot of people started to work on the engine, so a lot of bugs came up, and a lot of crashes, new and old ones, were there. And the frustration grew, because if creative people can't really do anything because of crashing engine, you get frustrated pretty quickly. So we needed a quick solution for that. And if you need a quick solution in game development, you start up Unity. So we split our team, and the Unity team was prototyping, iterating, developing, and implementing on Unity, less crashing. And the engine team, the basically programming team, was fixing the engine, implementing features that were designed by the Unity team, and created missing tools because we had tools for that third-person perspective game. We've had tools from Frostpunk 1, but we needed new one and in the new user interface. And we've had more crashing. So we started working very hard, and it was early 2020. Do you know what else happened in 2020? COVID happened. So our hard work looked more like that. So we did create the tech demo on Liquid Engine, which looked like this. Yes, this is Frostpunk 2, the first iteration of Frostpunk 2. We didn't have any graphic artists in the team, the Liquid Engine team, so it's all programmers' art, and it's beautiful. And we made a prototype on Unity called Mood Demo, which is kind of better. But they had all the art team, so that's our excuse. So this prototype was pretty much functioning game, and the goal of it on Unity was to present the board, the mood, and overall concept of the game. With Liquid, the goal was to prove that this can be made on Liquid Engine. But Liquid Engine had its problems still. The progress was too slow on Liquid. That's why the prototype is so ugly and undercooked. We still had missing tools. We still had stability issues. We still had recruiting issues because, especially for the art team, if you want to hire somebody to make art using the engine, it's more likely to find someone who knows Unreal Engine and is willing to work in Unreal or Unity than to have someone who comes and needs to learn all the new technology, which he cannot use outside the studio. This is a knowledge only for that studio. So we've had issues with recruiting people for our custom engine, especially art people. And we came to the conclusion that we do not have enough time to develop the engine and then later to develop the game. It was simply not possible in terms of time. So we thought that we tried to make good for everyone tech, and it proved to be impossible. If the Liquid Engine remained like an engine for strategy games, probably I wouldn't be here, or I would tell you how awesome Frostpunk 2 on Liquid Engine is. But here we are, Liquid Engine, good riddance. You are a fine engine. So it's now Unity versus Unreal, because those were the only two engines that we considered for Frostpunk 2. And we needed some kind of evaluation process, so what do we look for in the engine if we want to make a game like Frostpunk 2? So first of all, if the engine has all the features and tools and does it perform well on every platform we want to support, so feasibility of the engine, art fidelity, how the games on that engine look like visually, what is the architecture and organization of the engine, how well it manages strategy game type of project, our own tech team experience and attitude towards engines. And we didn't want to finish like this, so we took the process very, very seriously. So our conclusions were very subjective. I am not judging any of those engines. I am judging them in terms of our team and Frostpunk 2. So if it comes out that, for example, I hate Unreal or I hate Unity, this is project specific. So feasibility. Both engines have all the features and tools needed. Of course, they are commercial engines. Both engines support plugins. It's easy to like make them, to add something to them. Their performance seemed better in Unreal. Unity was at the moment where the performance issues were pretty dense. Unreal was better at that point. It was 2020, beginning of 2020. Both engines had excellent platform support. This time Unity had a better platform support. On the other hand, we didn't want to make Frostpunk 2 on mobile, so like the main platforms were evenly covered by both engines. And one of the advantages of Unreal had source code available straight after signing the deal. I think it's even available for download to everyone. With Unity, there had to be a special kind of agreement for them to give us the source code of Unity. I don't know if it's right now the same, but in 2020, we've had that problem with the source code, and we already knew we wanted the source code of the engine because we will be modifying the engine. Games, similar games on Unity, quite a lot of them, with some bigger titles like Homeworld, Desert of Karak, Battletech, Phoenix Point was kind of big back then. With Unreal, significantly less games, but bigger titles like XCOM, like Heroes of Might and Magic, like Battlefleet Gothic. So yeah, definitely Unreal is not an engine suited for strategy games. That's why there are fewer strategy games on Unreal. The biggest are probably using custom engines, like Civilizations or Europa Universalis. They have custom engines. Anyway, art fidelity. Unreal invested a lot in art fidelity. This was the time of the Matrix demo. So UE5 was on the horizon, so art fidelity, definitely it was Unreal. And at least in Poland, Unity is still associated with smaller titles, mobile games. People working in Unity, it's like artists working with Unity are like considered mobile game artists, at least in our market. So it was easier to recruit like better artists, more experienced artists for Unreal. And to be honest, there aren't many great looking games in Unity. With Unreal, you can find great looking games in all places. With Unity, not really. Our art director has a saying that they all have this Unity look in them, so you can immediately recognize that the game is made in Unity. With Unreal, not really. So the artist went all Unreal. Architecture and organization. From my experience, it's very easy to quickly make a mess in your project in Unity. So happens in Unreal. We wanted to use like scripting languages, and C# was harder to understand than blueprints for non-programmers. So Unreal was better, aside from plugins in Unity that can, like GameFlow plugins that can like allow box programming. Unity ECS was in beta, Unreal ECS was non-existent back then. We wanted our own ECS, so we already knew we needed to implement it ourselves. Unreal provided ecosystem around the game, so build tools, review tools, automated test tools. It's an entire ecosystem. Right now it's even bigger than it was in 2020. With Unity, you don't really get that kind of support. And of course, both engines had and still have problems with legacy code and feature development. So experimental in Unreal or try to search the Unreal code for the word hack, you will have like 5,000 matches. So yeah, this is legacy code problem. Our experience. we've had a lot of experienced C++ programmers. We decided to implement most of the game in the code, not in blueprints or in like any other scripting language. Some of us had experience in Unity. Very few of us had experience in Unreal, but 2 other projects in 11-bit were already on Unreal. And of course, our team was strongly convinced to use Unreal Engine. My team gameplay back then was divided almost evenly. There were people who liked better Unity, who liked better Unreal, and who didn't care. So, in early 2021, we made a decision, almost a year and a half after the project started. And it was Unreal Engine. So, our struggle began. We have a new engine, awesome. How the fuck do we make a game in it? So it wasn't easy. There were 40 people with little to no knowledge about Unreal Engine. They were divided by specializations, features, teams, and mindset, and some of them were in the Liquid team, some of them were in the Unity team. The project was already out of schedule. Of course, the board understood our struggles with the technology, but still they were like, oh, maybe you can make it the game already. So we've had also a working prototype in a different engine. So the working prototype was in Unity, and we wanted to make a game in Unreal. And with the Liquid team, there was a aftertaste of failure and problems with people who like really gave all the best to make the Liquid engine good and the prototype on Liquid engine even better, but ultimately it failed. And of course, we've still had pandemics going on, so we didn't see each other aside from like computer screens. And it really wasn't easy because 11-bit Studios went through a series of changes. So we've introduced DevOps idea, we've switched from SVN to Perforce, we redefined the way quality assurance and testers worked. The production methodology had to change because we were a bigger team than 40 people making one game. The engine programmers didn't know what to do. Are they gonna be gameplay programmers because we already have an engine, or there will be a need for engine programmers, so they didn't know what to do. And I will just stop there. There were many things going on in 11-bit. So we split the team again. The Unity team were still finishing the mood demo for the board, like giving updates to that demo. And after they finished like testing all the new mechanics they wanted, they would join the rest of the team. And the rest of the team needed to learn Unreal. And how do you learn Unreal? What is the best way to learn any new engine? Game jams. So the rest of the team started jamming. And we wanted this jamming to be as educative and informative as possible. So there were 3 separate teams: narrative team, gameplay team, and let's say environment team. It was mainly graphics team. The only goal of this game jam was to learn Unreal Engine. So researching the code, assets, architecture, etc., etc. Research all the tools and plugins that we would like to use, and create the first game on a new engine. And this game jam lasted, I think, for a month. So we've had narrative, pick your own adventure game. There were crimes in the city. We were like detectives who talked with people, and this was the narrative team. We've had Attack on Titan Beauty Corner from graphics team. And we've had an economical game from gameplay team where the goal was to grow bananas in the like Frostland. Oh, and we've had dating simulator made in Frostpunk. This is Tadeusz, the love machine. And this is not like changed by me. It was an actual game where you like dated people in New London. So the actual production of Frostpunk 2 started somewhere in the middle of 2021. And right now, even now after the release of the game, we still have the love-hate relationship with the engine. We had to start working. So our core principles after the game jam period were, we wanted to keep the game logic as much in C++ as we could. So use blueprints only for UI and game flow or narration tools. We wanted to maintain data-driven architecture, so the game is like empty and the data you put into it defines what the game is. We wanted to implement ECS architecture because it really suits strategy games, and that actually was a good decision. And we wanted to avoid changing the engine as much as possible and try to capitalize on what the engine offers. So we didn't want to make a game side by side with Unreal Engine. We wanted to make a game with Unreal Engine. So 1 year later, yeah, this was a video made by Paweł Szyszka, my friend from the company, for the first anniversary of using Unreal. So 1 eternity later, we finished our evaluation of the methodology we introduced, we tried to pull off. So keeping game logic in C++ is one of the best ideas we've had. Like merging assets, merging blueprints in Unreal is not even possible. Merging code is kind of easier. So it went very good. We've had a lot of experienced C++ programmers, so it was kind of smooth for us because even with the engine change, when you know the basics of coding, you can like adapt pretty much immediately. As I said, you can't merge blueprints, and it's very hard to review them. So if you have spaghetti blueprints in your game, it's very hard to untangle it. It's much easier with the code. So Designers still prototyped quickly in blueprints, and then we wanted to rewrite it in C++, and that was a problem because we didn't manage to do all of it, so some mechanics are still in blueprints, but all the core game mechanics are in C++, so yeah, that was the good idea. Using blueprints only for UI and game flow narration was an awesome idea that we want to fully implement in the next game, because in Frostpunk 2, in many cases, the blueprints did all the logic of the UI, and they shouldn't, so yeah. But following this idea, kept blueprints where they really shine, so user interface things and showing the designer flow of a quest or flow of a story arc. It still needed programmers to maintain, because there are some designers that have like a court order not to touch blueprints ever again. There is a site, Blueprints from Hell, like you can find it in the internet, so you will understand me if you know the site. So it went so-so. Data-driven architecture needed a lot of research how to pull it off in Unreal. It went down to data asset versus data table. Data assets won, and we've had a lot of that data assets. We still do. It's like in thousands of small data assets to store the game data. But the idea is rock solid. We struggled with proper implementation, but still it is a good idea. ECS, Entity Component System. Some of you may know that I like it. I had like 4 speeches about this architecture. If you really want, you can find it on YouTube. It suits the game, it suits the team. We all knew how to work with that architecture. The decision was whether for systems should we use actors or subsystems. We chose subsystems, and subsystems are not really good at it because they are managed by Unreal Engine automatically. So we've had a lot of initialization problems with them. So actors might be better. Right now, we've got our own initialization flow for systems, and we do not use like Unreal subsystems. We kind of have our own. But this, in Frostpunk 2, this required a lot of consulting with partners and people with more experience. It was functional, but yeah, there were problems with the order things happen in ECS. To minimize changes in Unreal Engine, best decision ever. If you want to make a change in the engine code, go to sleep, go for a walk, think about it. Just don't jump into changing the engine, even if you really want to, or even if you see an obvious bug. No. Because the more changes you do, the more problems you have with updating the engine. So you have a new shiny version of Unreal, which everyone loves. And you want to update from, let's say, 5.2 to, in my case, 5.4. Great. It took 3 people a month to adapt the engine to our existing code, even when we minimize the changes in Unreal Engine. So in other words, if you have the change in the engine and this part of code is changed by Epic in the new update, you need to reapply the change. And the programmer who wrote that change is probably dead, or he is not in the company at least. So no, do not modify Unreal Engine unless you really have to. We've had during the Frostpunk 2 implementation development, we started with 4.2 and ended with 5.2. So it was 3 times updating the engine. The first one was really quick because there wasn't much code. and the other two were pretty long. Cherry picking changes as a way to avoid updating the whole engine is not that easy. So you want, for example, only the updates in the UI system. So you want to pick the code and add it to your version of engine, and then like it starts to like grow like a snowball, because the more changes you need to pick up from the newer version. So it didn't work with that. And what we ended with that philosophy is like an overlay over the engine. So there is Unreal Engine. We have our own methods of dealing with it, basically the SAS system, and then like the design, the presenting part. So our code is a layer between the engine and the actual game, which is kind of a good thing. When Unreal Engine changes, you need only to change the lowest level layer of that overlay. Still the best decision. Do not change Unreal unless you really have to. Capitalizing on existing engine features, we kind of had to, because we picked that engine. Platform support is not that great. For example, there is a system that logs into the services like Microsoft services or PlayStation services or Steam and Epic Game Store. And the part with Epic Game Store is not implemented in Unreal for whatever reason. So yeah, you might get surprised if you like know for sure this is so basic shit that it has to be in the engine, and it's not, or the implementation is empty. So UI system in Unreal Engine is a mess. It's a UI system that suits displaying like the health and ammo of a character and nothing else. And our game is very UI heavy, so it was a struggle with UI. Don't even get me started talking about Slate, ever. Like try to find Slate, like piece of code written in Slate, which is the official UI library for Unreal. It doesn't even look like C++. There is a lot of very old code in Unreal, and it's not marked properly. Sometimes you use like one system on one feature of the engine, and it's not supported for the past 5 years, and nobody remembers what it does. So yeah, you need to keep track of what is deprecated, what is not. They do not tend to fix the problems very often. I mean, for some fixes, we're still waiting, or we fixed them by ourselves in one way or another. So the support is cool, but the actual problems in the engine aren't updated very often. The great thing about Unreal is Unreal Developers Network, where people from Epic sit down and answer developers. The developers answer other developers, so it's like a healing group, therapeutic group for alcoholics or something like that. But they help, they help. Don't take anything for granted in Unreal. You might end up disappointed. So we went into this with no expectation, and we are still disappointed. But anyway, in the end, we did it. We made a game. This is not my music, but it fits. We made a game, and quite a good one, actually. So the meta score is quite big, and people seem to be happy, aside from people who wanted more of a Frostpunk 1. Frostpunk 2 is other kind of animal. So yeah, thank you very much.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, so source access to the engine, was it a blessing or a curse for you? So I guess you can see how that works, how the engine works, but as well you want to change it.
How what works? I'm sorry, it's very bad.
The engine.
What?
The engine. So source code, was it a blessing or the curse?
The source code of Unreal,
Yeah.
well, it's well written. It isn't. This isn't a stupid engine. This is a well written engine. People use it because it works. The problem is that a lot of this code is like deprecated or old, and it's still in the engine, and you don't really know what to use. That was main problems. But the quality of the code of the engine is really really good. Oh, and it's not documented at all.
Cool. So when you had the access, I guess you wanted to edit it more, to do more changes.
Well, we wanted, but not necessarily, because when you have access to the code, you do not really need documentation. You can just debug like running engine and see what happens and follow the code. The code is documenting itself. It's pretty obvious if you know like some concepts of Unreal programming, you tend to understand the code very, very well. We also wanted to have access to the code because the changes we did in Unreal Engine were rendering connected, and we needed to like render the whole city with procedural generation. So that those kind of things we needed to change in the engine, and we still suffer from that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. There was somebody nearby.
Hey, thank you for the talk. Have you considered making the Liquid engine public and getting more people to know it and then hiring them to fix it for you?
We are discussing this with the board. We want to. We really want to. It's a good piece of code. I think people can learn a lot from this. But there are some legal issues and fears that the board has, so we simply cannot do that as of now. But yeah, the idea is, and we're still trying to make it open source.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks. There was somebody here.
What's, in your opinion, the most valuable lesson you've learned from making Frostpunk 2?
Oh my God. The most valuable lesson. I think that you need to accept the fact that when you are learning a new engine, the first game you make on that engine would be one of the worst games you ever made. I mean, the Frostpunk 2 is an awesome game, but in terms of technology behind it, the way it is written, we would write it 10 times better right now with all the knowledge in Unreal Engine that we have right now. And I hope we will write the Frostpunk remake better than Frostpunk 2. For example, there is modding in Frostpunk 2, but when you make a mod for Frostpunk 2, you need to update the mod with every single update of the game. So we patched the game and all the mods stopped working because of the way the game is written. So yeah, that would be. Expect that the first game you make on a new engine would be one of the worst games you ever make, technologically.
Hey, thank you.
Do we have more people somewhere? From and I'll pass you then.
The mass ECS system built by Epic was also developed at that time. Was it at all useful to you?
It wasn't useful for us because it didn't exist in 2020. Or there were some like first experimental things in that. Right now I think it's in beta, but we decided to use our own ECS system because we know it instead of a new architecture for that. But yeah, mass seems very promising. This is exactly the ETS we would like to, but we already have our own, so we don't need to use experimental Epic or beta version of mass.
And a quick second question, are you planning on keeping on using Unreal Engine or switching again maybe?
I would like to go back to Liquid Engine. I love that engine, it's great. But yeah, I think we will stick with Unreal Engine, and I can see the trend in the industry that a lot of studios are turning to Unreal Engine. For me, it's not a good thing, but as I said, it's a lot easier to just recruit people for Unreal Engine than any custom engine or even Unity for that matter.
Okay, thanks. Oh, yes, sorry.
So similar question to the last one. I know from experience how hard it is to fix a broken mess of an engine that constantly crashes. It just seems much better to take like the high-level architectural decisions from your last engine and just trash everything away and start from the entry point. So my question is, would you be open to like creating a liquid engine 2.0 from scratch from the entry point and improving on it so it isn't as bad as the last one was?
I would love to. Pay me, I will do it. No, this was more like changing the engine was more a business decision than the technology decision. It was also a schedule decision. We had to like release Frostpunk 2 in a certain period of time because money. So we couldn't just, for 1 year fix our engine and then make the game. This year should be also consumed for game development. So yeah, it's not that the engine is it isn't irredeemable. There are certain things that need to be fixed there, and it's a working engine. And you might start from like previous version of the engine, which we have, like the Frostpunk version of the engine, and build from that. It was a stable working engine. So, yeah.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have more people around? Okay.
Do you see the use of custom engines? So I guess the industry wants to use the mainstream engines, I guess, because there is a lot of technical knowledge that carries over from the employees. But do you use in commercial setting where the custom engine could thrive?
First of all, the existing custom engines, like Fireaxis has the Civilization engine, Paradox has their own engine, and a lot of studios have their own engines. Like Ubisoft have 5 of them probably, or even more. So yeah, they are still in use, and with starting a new project, if you want to be engine programmer, you can start with making an engine, but if you want to make games, start with something that already works. I am totally into custom engines because when you see games on Unreal, you tend to see like same-ish patterns of what that engine can and cannot do, and then you see an very, I don't know, Grease, the platformer. Artistically, it was amazing, and I think that like custom engines can enable more creativeness because they are not suited for everyone. It's this engine provides for this game, and this game is pretty unique. But it requires a lot of technological knowledge and somebody who really wants to be an engine programmer.